Hey, what is going on, everybody? Welcome back to an episode of Greatlocs. I'm Gunther the Great, and today we're going to be looking at how to do instant dreadlocks using a crochet needle. Now, I get the question all the time if my hair type can get instant dreadlocks, and I always answer people with the same exact question every time. And yes, your hair can get instant dreadlocks. You kind of take a different approach for each hair type. In today's video, I'm not only going to take you through very coarse and tight curls, I'm going to take you through straight hair as well. There's two different approaches, and also I'm covering this very in depth in the Greatlocs masterclass, which will most likely be released within the next week. So comment down below if you plan on getting that. But without further ado, let's jump straight into it. First video is from the Munch Bowl, and what he actually did before this video is he combed out that dreadlock that you see on the right side of his head, and he's super hyped. In today's video, he is basically redoing his dreadlock using a crochet needle. And if you haven't picked yourself up a crochet hook, make sure to click the link down below. It says crochet hook. Pick yourself up one from Greatlocs.com, or you can even pick yourself up the bundle, which is including the crochet hook and also the interlocking tool. We're actually covering the interlocking tool in today's video as well, so stay tuned for that. But in these videos, there's some that are doing it incorrectly, and I wouldn't recommend doing it this way, so that's why I'm showing you these videos as well. So first off, what you see right here is he's combing it through. That's definitely what you want to do. You want to comb through that hair, that section. And the reason I'm not just showing you guys my perspective of me doing it on someone's hair, I want to show you guys and walk you through other people actually doing it, showing that it's possible, and they're doing it pretty close to the same way that I've done it. So first step, obviously combing out. Let's see what the next one he does. I haven't seen this complete video. We see here now that he is actually twisting that section, and it's perfect. You want to twist that section, whether you have straight hair or tight curls, just like him. And his hair type is most likely a 4B or 4C, mostly leaning towards a 4C. But you can see how he has that section right there. You just want to create that section, whether you're starting them out or, like in this video, he's just fixing one or putting one back together. So always make sure that your sections are the way that you want them to be, because that's the most important part of the locking process, is the sections, because that makes sure that your strength is there, make sure that the sections are thick enough, and then also that they're thin enough to your liking. So there's a balance in between both of those. So now we see him going in after it. And the way he's doing it is actually good because he's going away from the scalp. He's pulling the hair towards the scalp. He's going in and out pretty fast. And one thing that I would recommend in the beginning versus what he's doing is I would start actually a little lower than where he's at. And then also at the same time, go a little slower in the beginning to create that knot at the root. But there you go. You see he has a knot at the root, and that's the initial lock. That's what I call it, the initial lock. So now that you have the initial lock, then you just work on the length, and that's all the rest of the hair. And one really big tip is it's hard to lock anything under the initial lock. So what I said earlier about I would have started lower is because you can't lock anything under that easily. So it's easier to get the initial lock as close to the scalp. I'll probably say about a ½ inch close to the scalp, and then go from there down, because all you're doing is taking that hair, the length of the hair after the initial lock, and pulling it into the initial lock, building onto it. So it's hard to build backwards versus building into the lock. But he's doing it very good. He's pulling towards the scalp every single time. And in another video that we're about to see is someone pulling away from the scalp. And that's obviously not what you want to do, but you'll see it in that video. So yeah, he's just constantly going, and you can see, and obviously he's going to have some length difference, because I'm sure when he combed out his hair, all that, the bleached tip was gone. And that's just a given. And also what you've seen right there, the crochet needle does make some shrinkage. So not as much as other methods, but it does make the hair shrink a little bit. But I'm telling you, it's very minimal. And since you're maturing the dreadlock as fast as possible, that's the reason why it is going to be shrinking a lot. So we see I'm still working the length, and I'm telling you, it's easier to always pull the length of the hair back into the last knot. You constantly are pulling into the last knot. So it's building onto that initial lock that I told you guys earlier. Now the tip, I do the tip the same every time, and it's exactly what he's doing. He's rolling the tip up and then pulling it into the length of the dreadlock. And it's really as simple as that. And you can go in afterward, do palm rolling, and then these are all things that you can do just with your hands. Palm rolling, you can just, rub it together with your fingertips, and you can twist it with your fingertips. You can twist it with water. You don't need, locking gel all the time. It's good to keep your hair as natural as possible. Obviously just using shampoo. And of course you can use other products if you feel it's necessary, or you went to a dermatologist and they recommend you put something on your scalp. There you go. You can see that he finished his dreadlock instantly, and he did this in about 5 minutes. And he actually combed out his dreadlock and then redid it in under an hour. So that's pretty interesting. All right, next set of instant lock, and it's from Fabian Pacheco. And he has most likely a 2B hair type. You can see that there's a little bit of wave in there, so it's not completely straight, but this is considered a straight hair type. So for anybody out there who has straight hair, this is the perfect video to watch because he goes through all the steps. And of course, he does the steps that I've showed you guys multiple times. And it's very simple. I'm gonna take it through it right now verbally. All he does is he has a girl do twist and rip on his hair, a little bit of back combing, which isn't really necessary unless you want to, but twist and rip will get the job done, and then following it up with crochet needling to pull in all the frizzy hair. So let's check out the process that he does. First off, he combs through everything, and that is highly recommended so that you have the most length for what you're doing, because remind you, it does cause shrinkage using a crochet needle, but every set of dreadlocks you get, whatever method you choose, is gonna have shrinkage, so keep that in mind. So combing through all of his hair. And the reason why, like I said, you want your hair to be as long as possible before you start the process. Because if you start it with all these clumps and, you know, knots, it's not going to turn out that well unless you're just going for free form. There we go. You see his hair is all the way out and combed through. And then this is another major step, is getting the sections. You can see that they have the sections, and she's just talking about how she's bricking it. So bricking is how you see bricks on a building. They put one in the middle of two. So you got two stacked, and then you put one in the middle, and then so on and so forth, so that they lay down next to each other versus on top of each other. So that's a big thing as well. Make sure your sections are the size that you would like, and then also that they're gonna lay down properly. Like I said, so that they're not laying on top of each other. And literally make the sections however you want. Make them organic, or you can make them super square. Honestly, in my opinion, I think it's good to brick down the middle. You see how his hair is a straight line down the middle? I personally don't recommend that, just because your hair will always lay down to the sides versus say you want to lay it back, or have them in a more, you guys get what I'm saying. You just make the sections however you want. I personally wouldn't want a straight line down the middle. So we see that they got the sections, and then she moves on to twist and rip. She's mostly done with the twist and rip method, and it's very easy method to do. I'm linking it down below. It literally only takes maybe 5 minutes per dreadlock, and especially with his hair length, his hair is really long. It's about the same for no matter what the hair length is really. And you can see that she's actually palm rolling it, and I would actually recommend going straight in with the crochet needle right after that. But she's back combing, which you could skip this step if you don't want to, you know, create a whole bunch of shrinkage. And you could do the whole section with back combing. Back combing creates the most shrinkage out of any of the methods that you choose for dreadlocks. So that's just one thing to know before going in. And then also back combing creates the thickest dreadlocks, because you can't really maintain all that knotting up into a big section unless you just really make really skinny sections, but then you're going to have a really thick dreadlock on a skinny section. Just keep that in mind. And then one thing that I would say about this part, to where she's going in with this is actually a latch hook. I would recommend just using a crochet needle, because latch hooking it's really long and it's very tedious, because look what she's doing. She's going really slow, grabbing hair from the other side, coming in, pulling out. The crochet needle does exactly that, but does it at a faster pace. So get yourself a crochet needle, and all you have to do at this point is just go in and out and in and out and keep going in and out, and it's going to pull in all that loose hair very easy, because loose hair is easy to pull in, but once it becomes tight, then it can be tougher to pull in that loose hair. But I'm sure this took really long. I think right here he was at 3 dreadlocks, and I think he was about 2 hours in. It doesn't have to take that long. If you're doing just twist and rip and then going straight with crochet needling, I'm telling you, you would have been done with those dreadlocks, and probably, I would say 3 of them in about maybe 15 minutes, 5 minutes per dreadlock. I think this might be her first time doing them, or one of her first times, because he was saying he wasn't sure how it's going to turn out. Yeah, it's just something to expect. But palm rolling does help out a whole bunch no matter what your hair type is. So I would recommend palm rolling, and it works out a little bit better on longer hair. But let's check out the end of this. So you can see how much shrinkage he has, maybe about 6 to 7 inches of shrinkage. That's to be expected. So don't be upset if your hair becomes really short, because honestly, it still looks really good. And one thing I want to tell you guys, with straight hair, I would recommend longer hair. With more of a tight curl pattern, you can start with shorter hair. That's one thing to note. All right, so this is the video from Keisha Ariel. She's actually just repairing some thin locks, and I'm gonna show you what she's actually doing wrong, and you'll see right here. I'll just explain it as she goes. Now you can see how at the roots, everything's very frizzy, and she's just gonna be pulling in all that loose hair into the lock. And you guys can do this as well. If you have frizzy dreadlocks, use a crochet needle. It helps out a whole bunch. And obviously there's different sizes. I recommend using a 0.5 or a 0.75. Anything bigger than that becomes tough, and then you just create puncture wounds inside of your dreadlock. So I would recommend something small like a 0.5 or 0.75, which we do have at Greatlocs.com. Another important step, what we always see, is creating the section, making sure that everything looks good, and then what she's going to be doing is tying in all that loose hair into that lock. By twisting, you can see the process. It's the same process every time, creating the section, twisting the hair, and then going in with the crochet hook. One good thing about this tutorial, she does it in slow motion so you can see what's going on. So she held that hair and you see how she goes through, grabs hair on the other side. She's actually wrapping the hair around and pulling it in. So she's not doing everything completely wrong. And to be honest, you can't really say that she's doing anything wrong, even when she's pulling away from the scalp. I just wouldn't recommend it because you can be pulling hair out of your scalp, and that's one thing that you don't want to do. So right here, this is what she's doing. She's pulling away from the scalp. Now she's pulling towards the scalp. I mean, it's really up to you, but I just personally wouldn't recommend it because I know that sometimes when you're pulling away from the scalp like that, it can tug on hair that's attached to your scalp and pull it out, which can result in traction alopecia, and that's just not good. And then now she's doing interlocking, which I don't recommend using that interlocking tool. I recommend using a smooth interlocking tool, which we do provide on Greatlocs.com. It's the same process, but it's just a very easy and slick tool so that there's nothing catching onto your roots. But she's going northeast, southwest, which means she's going one way, pulling it through, going the opposite way, or the opposite direction, perpendicular, pulling it through, so on and so forth. And makes it very tight at the root, and interlocking does help out a lot with maintaining the roots. You can see how that looks really good, especially compared to the beginning. So that's simply how you do it. There's a lot of pros and cons in all these videos. The only con, I think the biggest one, is just pulling away from the scalp. It's okay as long as you're not pulling at the scalp. If you feel any tugging at the scalp, like, don't do it anymore, or don't do it as much. But all of you have seen how easy it is to start and maintain your dreadlocks using a crochet needle, and at the end seeing how easy it is to use an interlocking tool. And like I said, I would recommend using the Greatlocs interlocking tool.
I'm having trouble connecting to the internet.
I'll connect you later.
Take a look at the help section in your Alexa app.
Like when I say, what is it? And like I said, she thinks I say Alexa. As I was saying, the interlocking tool is great, especially from Greatlocs.com, because there's no catching on the tools that we have. So make sure to pick yourself up a locking bundle down below. It is on sale. And shout out to everybody who is on this video today. Make sure to go check out their channels. They all have really good tutorials, so make sure to go watch those. And it'll help you out, especially if you have straight hair, if you have tight curls, or if you're just repairing your dreadlocks. And also don't forget to go follow Greatlocs on Instagram. We're growing, we keep on growing. It's a really big family, and it's really awesome to see everybody's different style of dreads. So make sure to go follow, tag us if you want to be featured. But other than that, I'll see you guys next time. Peace.